Review for Exam 1. This is a short video. It is not complete, and I've deliberately done it that way so that you have to come to class and have to listen. It will not cover everything that might be on the test, so you'll need to study beyond what's on this review and the one that's in class. I will also post the one that's in class. It will not have the narration. So what are you going to study? Start with your slide sheets. Pay attention to the bolded information. There's 3 of them highlighted here. Look at your vocabulary and your period dates. At the top there you see Gothic. There's a period date. Learn your period dates, and I will go over them in just a minute. And you see there vocabulary words that are bolded and in all caps, and then down at number 8 you see a Great Hall. That's a name. I may show you a slide of a Great Hall and ask you name, style, and date, in which case you would write Great Hall, Gothic, 1150 to 1550. You may do this in tandem with the images that are in the PowerPoint reviews and including the later interpretations. You will want to take a look at those images, look at your characteristics, and be sure that you can identify them, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. You will also want to study your notes, the text PowerPoints as well as your notes. Pay attention to historical and social developments and influences, ideas, and stylistic development. Again, study definitive characteristics for interiors and furniture. Pay attention to what each style introduces and their important contributions. So what's on the exam? There are 25 to 30 slide identifications. I may ask you the name of a piece of furniture or an interior if there's a name for it. I will generally always ask you style. Where applicable, I will ask you date. There's no designers in this group, and I may ask you vocabulary words. On the right there you see the grid. That will be the first and second page of your exam. I do not care if they're not in order. If I ask you name, style, and date, and you put dates, name, and style, I don't care. Just be sure that you give me the information that I'm asking for. It will be at the top of each slide. I will show you these slides at least 3 times. The first time, I will watch and see when everybody's about finished, and I'll move on to the next one till we're done. I will go through them again quickly to let you check yourself, and then the third time I will go through them in groups of 5, like 1 through 5, 6 through 10, to give you an opportunity to look at any slides that you're struggling with, and do not hesitate to ask to see a slide. So you have at least 3 chances to identify these slides. There will be 6 to 10 drawings to label. They're mostly vocabulary. For example, I might show you a furniture leg and ask you what it is, or parts of a piece of furniture and ask you to label them. There will be 30 to 40 multiple choice questions. They will cover things like vocabulary, style development, historic and social. There was also some questions that are styles that are associated with particular motifs and or characteristics. Notice that there's a range for all of these, and that's because as of today I have not completed the test yet. So that will, when I talk about it in class on Tuesday, I will have the test ready. You'll know exactly how many's on there. So here are the styles that you're responsible for this exam. Ancient Greece, Ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome do not have dates. Gothic is 1150 to 1550, Italian Renaissance 1420 to 1600, Elizabethan interiors and furniture, Jacobean interiors and furniture are 1558 to 1660, Restoration interiors, Charles II furniture, William and Mary furniture, and Queen Anne furniture, all you may use the date 1660 to 1714. Now this is an example of what you'll see on the exam. I will ask you for this image name and style, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can figure it out. This would be a vocabulary. Sometimes the last 4 or 5 slides are just simply vocabulary where I ask you the name. This is an example where I ask you multiple things. The name of the piece, its style, the name of those decorative elements on the case, and then the name of the foot. If there's more than 3 elements there, you can put 2 things in one block. It's okay. And I will also ask you the style that this building later interprets, and I'll let you figure that out. Now, here's an example of a compare and contrast, and most of the images in the review are compare and contrast because I think that's a really good way to learn the nuances and the key differences in furniture. And we're looking at 4 English pieces. The first on the left is the wainscot chair. It is Elizabethan. Next we have Charles II. Then we have William and Mary and Queen Anne. So when you look at Elizabethan, that's an age of overemphasis. The piece is pretty big. It's got heavy proportions. It's rectangular. The panel back is slightly slanted. Carving and inlay are the main forms of decoration. You see it there in the panel back. The top of the chair is carved. You have inlay in the panels. You have a geometric inlay across the front of the seat. And by the way, you can call this either a wainscot chair or a panel back chair. There are fluting on the arm supports and the legs. Stretchers connect all 4 legs, and generally the back legs are plain for economic, to save money. Next we have Charles II. Now this is a major Baroque influence, and it's major Baroque in the fact the carving, the extravagant carving, the bold carving, the naturalistic carving are all associated with the Baroque. This particular chair is typical of the 1680s. It has a tall caned back and a caned seat, and it has elaborate carving around the caning, on the stretcher on the seat, and the top of the chair. There's C scrolls and S scrolls. You see the C scrolls supporting the arms and in the legs. Caning was very common in this period, and you might see this is kind of a ball foot, a Spanish, a ball, or a bun foot. And there were lots of variations of this in this period. The next style is William and Mary. Now, William and Mary is a transitional style, and it's actually a transitional style between Charles II and Queen Anne. So we start to see there's a lot of French and Dutch influence in William and Mary, and it is a more conservative Baroque expression. It will combine some characteristics from each style. This one it doesn't show them as well as some others, but there are more curves in William and Mary. This one has a caned back. It's still got the elaborate carving at the top and carving beneath. Notice that the legs are now straight. They've gotten away from these scrolled and C-scrolled and S-scrolled legs, and these are straight legs. They're known as trumpet or inverted cup legs. And what you also see here is you see a bun foot, and you also see an X-shaped stretcher with a little finial in the center. Then we move to Queen Anne. Now Queen Anne is mostly made of walnut. The chairs are very comfortable because they're shaped to fit the body. There's almost no ornament in Queen Anne. The chair relies on the silhouette and the beauty of the wood for its beauty. We have an open hoop back here with a solid splat. We have a curvilinear seat. The back is actually spoon shaped. That means it comes in to fit the sitter's back, so it's very comfortable. We have cabriole legs, this double curved leg. It's called a cabriole leg. It comes out at the knee, goes back to the ankle, and comes out again at the foot. They're usually very plain, although there might be a little carving right there. And beneath we see a pad foot. A pad foot is just a round, kind of flat foot, almost flat foot, and it rests on a small disc or platform. You will notice that this chair does not have any stretchers. Next we have the blue drawing room from Ham House and an interior from the Elizabethan period. The Elizabethan period, everything in that room, all the walls, not so much the floors, but the fireplace and the ceiling is extravagantly carved and plastered and painted. It's exuberant and it's kind of an age of overemphasis. You notice that the paneling there is very detailed, very complicated. The fireplace is very complicated with strap work and coats of arms. The ceiling, you notice the plaster in the ceiling. Both of these have plaster work in the ceiling. Notice how flat this plaster work is. It's not very deep. It has some naturalistic carving in it, and it has pendants, these details that are hanging down. Now, Ham House is restoration, and this is a more conservative expression of Baroque. And what we see here is we see just plain wood floors as we saw in the Elizabethan, but you notice that the wall, the fireplace wall here is paneled. The panels are fairly large. We have just a very simple fireplace with a mantel above it and a swag and gilding carving above the fireplace and a painting. There's a painting over the door. On the walls we see the fabric, the blue fabric, and the faded yellow fabric that was once blue, done in panels, imitating the panels on the wall. And then on the ceiling, we have this wonderful plaster work, but notice how much simpler it is than the Elizabethan one. Notice how much deeper it is. It's undercut, it's very beautiful. Remember, they invented that new plaster that enabled them to do that. And another characteristic of restoration interiors that you kind of see here is this wood carving. Wood carving and plaster work are generally two definitive characteristics for restoration. One thing I forgot to mention for you, that in the review that I'm going to post for you, there will be some unknowns. And the reason I do that is if you've learned your lessons well, then you can identify the unknowns. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll go over some more of this in class.